Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in today. I love this conversation because it's talking about one of my passions and one of my loves, and that is music. I love music. Ooh, I love music, but if there were a genre that I love more than any, it would be gospel music. I listen to all types of music. I have an eclectic palette for music. I love all types of things, but probably 9 months before I was born, before I was even here in my mother's womb, I was probably listening to gospel music, and it has been the guiding light for many times for my life. And this person that I'm talking to today is not a guest. It's not really somebody that I have to introduce in a sense. One, he's been connected to me for years. A friend of mine, a brother of mine, really family to me since teenage years. That's how long we've known each other, when his mother used to travel across the state of Kentucky in many different places and teach, and he would be accompanying her as well. You know him. He's not a stranger to you. You just probably don't know it. A lot of us have been singing his music for years and didn't know that he was the one who had penned the lyrics behind it, because some noted gospel artist probably sang it. You just didn't know it. I'm talking to Jason Clayborn. He is Kentucky's own. He's right there in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm really excited about this conversation. And as music has continued to evolve, what I'm most excited about in him, not only has his music evolved, but he has evolved. So this is a great conversation for all of you who are writers or singers or artists or love gospel music, or you don't, and you're just like, I want to hear the mindset behind some of the people who have been writing some of the greatest songs that we have ever known. I have my picks as far as his greatest songs, but I know you have some of yours as well. You're like, I didn't know he wrote that. So today, join me for a great conversation about being uniquely designed with Jason Clayborn. All right, everybody who's just now coming in, I want to first apologize because we've had a whole podcast before this podcast. So I'm not really exactly sure where this conversation is going to go because we have so much to talk about. Jason is not a stranger to me, nor someone that I'm just getting introduced to, or anybody that I have to figure out what to talk about, because we've known each other way before anything. So I want to talk about that, the way before anything.
Oh, Lord.
And how that shaped you, because you not just come from a musical family, but you are used to platforms and stages and all this stuff. And who you are now is who you've been. It's just a bigger version. So how has that...
It's humbling, because at the time, being younger, you love the fact that people are like, man, this dude got something special. And you don't pay attention that it's really, you're being impactful on people's lives. Like, you're helping people that are paying attention to you, that are now like mega rappers and mega DJs. And you don't realize how much of an influence on culture and who you are by just being who God created you to be at the time. Like, I was excited that the girls liked it. You know what I'm saying? Let's just be honest. And Mario, you've been around me, so you already know. We've been, God has elevated us, from our past. But man, it's just incredible, man. I like, being able to go into a room and being able at a younger age to command control of a room, and people respect you at a level, and you don't realize the respect until later on down the line.
I was thinking about before a few days ago, when I was thinking about preparing for this, the days of the workshops.
Man,
a lot of people don't know about those days. Like, when you would go from church to church, or you would come and assemble a group of people that you had never met before for 3 days, and then do a concert.
Yeah.
And
I think that's what shaped a lot of us too, though. Yeah. I think we need to go back to that, because then, this younger generation will realize, that it takes work to get to, these different levels and seasons in our life. Mm-hmm. That was a part of the seasons of our life. And then you found out who had the abilities, and then who was capable in these areas. And then I think it helped take back to your churches. You found out, okay, this is the one that can lead worship. These are the background singers. These are the choir directors. And these are the things that we need to sharpen and work on. You know, all of those workshops that we were a part of helped us become who we are today. And we don't have that no more. You got YouTube, you got, you know, everybody watching videos to learn how to play drums instead of somebody sitting there and teaching you the timing, or somebody sitting there and teaching you the parts.
I think the key thing that you're saying, even in just the workshops, is the key component of relationships.
Yeah.
And how you had people that were invested.
Yeah.
And that could spend time with you and like, hey, no, don't do that. Or even, I remember a time that someone gave me a lead one time to sing, and they were like, you're doing too much.
Yeah.
Just keep it real simple.
Yeah.
And that goes to another area of being gifted, but also having the ability to listen.
Everybody wants to ride on the gift. And some people can say, oh my God, you see people that have this incredible gift, but they're stagnant because people have praised the gift so much, and they have not stayed in a learning posture to be able to grow outside of just your giftedness. So you see a Kimberell and you wonder why in 2021 she's better than she was when Everlasting Life came out, which is still an incredible album. I listen to it still to this day. It will never get old. Yeah. Right now, I can pop it in the, you know, it'll never get old. But if you listen to her vocal ability and who she is now, the processes that she had to go through and who she kept herself around behind the scenes, like people didn't pay attention to that. Go back, I watched a documentary on MTV one weekend, and every artist that came on that they asked, who do they listen to? Justin Timberlake, Beyonce, Britney Spears. I mean, it was top people. Kimberell was one of the people in that. So those relationships, I mean, before Whitney Houston died, she was connected to her. Look at the relationships and the sharpening of the people that she was around that cultivated her gift even more. Of course, the learned, you know, Berkeley degree that people forget that she has. That's why she's the way she is. So if she comes into a church and the background sucks or the organ player sucks and she's getting on them, they looking at her like she knows the chords. She knows the selections. What you're hearing is the fact that she knows where to place the notes in a chord that's not there.
I want to, before anybody checks out who's watching, first of all, we're not just talking about gospel music.
Yeah,
It's not about that or church or any of that stuff. Mm-mm. You're talking about stuff of being gifted, but also being as disciplined in learning your craft.
Yeah.
Where is the I hate to use this word. Why do we not talk about the sexiness of discipline as we talk about the glamour of the glory or the glamour of the art?
Because that's the process. People want to get straight to the stage, but they don't want to go through the process to get there. That's just like anybody. When you're working out, you don't want to work out. I've seen some of your videos have me weak talking about working out, but I'm the same way. I love to eat.
A love-hate relationship.
Me too. I dread getting up on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to go to the gym, but I do it. Not just because I want a particular look style, but I know how I want my clothes to fit. I know, you know, I don't want to be this gigantic guy out here because everybody on stage in gospel music is big. So y'all said we're gonna be real. This is when we talk to listen. So
I didn't say it, but it's the truth because it is not just. I mean, those of you who are, you know, wonderfully blessed. It's not saying some, you know, some of you have inherited, but it is not just. I'm interested in being on the stage. I want to stay on the stage.
Right.
I want to last. I want to be here. Want to be a good representative of all of it.
Yeah.
You know, we don't talk a lot about that.
Yeah.
You know, it's you get there, but then I mean, I know countless artists who died, or people, not just artists, but people who died just because they wouldn't manage their health.
Right.
Didn't care. Like, so how could you have all of that?
Yeah.
But not want to maintain that?
Yeah, and it's forsaking the process because you have the gift and everybody's praising the gift, but the time behind the scenes, I think that's the most important time to me. So it's the times that I wrote a song and nobody picked it for years. not 1 year, not 2 years, 8 years, where I had no placements, or the concerts I've done and, you know, the albums that I've done that I thought were incredible. And, you know, people, you know, were like, man, why did you do that at that time? You know, or learning who I am, growing through the process. And I think that that's what's made me, first of all, a better man outside of the gift. And it has taught me integrity, and it's taught me how to maneuver through different phases in my life.
How or who or what caused you to be disciplined?
I had a friend that was in an R&B group that I used to be around, and we never could find him. Every time we got ready to rehearse, he was somewhere high. We could never find him. We always had to go down to the hood, find him. He was at a cousin's house. He would never answer his phone, all of that. And I was just like, why is this dude, we can never find this dude gifted as a mug. And we could never, and you know him, I'm not going to say his name, but we could never find him. And I just was like, I don't want to be that person. This is something that I really want to do. And I know that it was a calling on my life, just period, you know, as it was a part of my life. And I just was like, man, I don't want to do this. And then I saw people in my city and around my area that are older than me, that are goats in what we do, that never had the opportunity, or never, not necessarily, let me not say the opportunity, never took hold of their gifts and talents and tried to do it. Even some of my family members, like my mom, I saw she had an incredible group called Christ Connection. You know what I mean? A group of 9 of the most talented people in the city of Louisville. And a couple of them came from here, from Lexington too. I just saw their dreams just fizzle. And they never took the opportunity to record all of these songs that are still potent today. I put one of them on my new album, redid it, and it's the last song on my record, and people love it more than the other stuff on the album, but it's because of the potency of them. They were way ahead of their time. There's other major people in our city that should have recorded, or had choirs that should have been known in our state, in our country, in our world, that they never, they misused the relationship.
I don't want to rush over that, because there are a lot of people that we know and have known that are gifted, that are talented, that could naturally do what some people spend hours in the studio to do.
Yeah.
What is it that's different about the one who decides to move forward, or the person who had the opportunity to move forward, versus the one that is the best kept secret that no one ever knows about?
I think it's twofold. First of all, it's lifestyle. So, and it's connection of who you connected to. And that's another thing. I don't have a lot of friends, and I'm cool with that. I don't hang around a whole lot of people, and I'm cool with that, because I understand that everybody is not going to see the vision that you have. Just because they're gifted, that don't mean they have vision. Okay, so you can be gifted all day, but if you have no vision, that's what the word says. Without the vision, I'm sorry, it's hard for me not to go to biblical on this, but without vision, people perish. So you can have all of this gift and be gifted than a mug, but you have no vision. And so there was people around me that were in groups that I've had that had the gift, but the vision for themselves personally was trash. Okay, so but everybody,
is it familiarity?
Yes. It's that's a part of it. So you know me half of your life, and we've sang in choirs together and singing, and then I move on, and God elevates me to start a group, and then I start with that, and you see elevation happening for me in my life, but you're stagnant where you are, not because of your gift, but because of life choices.
So how have you dealt with people who knew you at the stage of familiar and couldn't adjust to you at the stage of progression?
A lot of them are not around me. There's some that still are, you know. I even had to deal with it with my family at a moment, with my brothers and sisters. I had to separate myself from them. The hardest thing I've ever done in my life was separate from my sisters and my brothers. Not because I mean, of course, they're always my family, but when it comes to where I saw myself going, they weren't ready for that.
Okay, so let's get into that, because then as soon as you said that, I automatically saw like Aretha and the movie, and how the sisters, like, don't forget,
Yeah.
you know, we were here, you know, all this stuff. How do you respectfully say you're my family, but we can't do business together?
It took years for that to happen, for them to realize that I'm Jason, your brother, and not Jason, your leader. So I was brother and leader at the same time. And we were doing concerts that were packed, sold out before, you know, Cats was really doing. I'm talking about sold out to the gills, to where if the fire marshal would have came in, they would have shut us down and told everybody to go home because there was people standing. You were there.
I was going to say, I remember still, now I love all your songs.
Yeah.
Please know that.
Yeah.
But to me, there is not another song greater than Over and Over Again.
Yeah.
Over and Over is
Yeah.
like,
You know, everybody got their one staple.
that's
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
But the whole, there's a reason why I'm here, and
Yeah.
there's a call on my life. That one right there,
Yeah.
you could have sang it for the next 2 hours and I would have been fine. You're still singing, I don't care. But I remember being in that concert, I said, if one more person gets in here, we are done.
Yeah.
Somebody's coming here, it's over.
But this was the thing. We were, and all of my brothers and sisters at the time, they were kids, 14, 15, 16. Nene was 13, 14. They were kids at the time. So to be a part of something that major, and then after we did that, I was like, man, I don't just want to do concerts. I don't want to fall into the Louisville slump, where all they know me for is doing big concerts in Louisville. So how do I record? Man, my mom helped us with, her and her friend Monique helped us record that record, Music Radiology, with their tax money. We raised an offering that night because we didn't have enough money to pay the recording people that were there. And we made it that night. And, that's why, but while you're on your way up, for the people that didn't have an opportunity to do it, sometimes you have to show them, even when you don't know how it's going to happen. Like, I had no clue how to do nothing.
I hear so many different things in what you're saying. One of the things I hear, the chapter of this book, is diversification.
Yeah.
Diversifying yourself. You said, I just don't want to be just known as someone who does concerts in the city who draws a lot of people, which some people would be fine.
Yeah.
To say, I always draw a crowd.
Yeah.
But you said, I want to do more than that. Okay, I do know one part as far as vision, but do you think you always saw, there was some season in your life where you start to dream, you started to see things that weren't seen?
Yeah, I think it was back when Tommy Jones recorded his record, and all of these people were here from all over the country, the world, and Aaron's mom, who Aaron is one of the biggest gospel producers now. I've been knowing Aaron since Tommy Jones was bringing him and his mom to do workshops in Louisville. I just always saw that there was not a consistency with the flow of where they could be. And then some people abuse the relationships. See, I paid attention to everything. I didn't just pay attention to the gift. I paid attention to how they did, what they did right, what they did wrong, and how not to mix your personal life with your business, which is hard to do at times, but I tried to do that as much as possible, which made it easier for me to move. Now, when you're working with your family, that's personal. But at a moment in time, I had to say, I'm just going to be your brother. I was like, what? And then as they grown up, they wanted to figure out what they wanted to do too. And I had to respect that. Now, you going to sing with me forever. You family. No, they have their own lives. And I have to respect that. That was like going back. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but that was the hardest moment for me to pull away and just be Jason, the brother. Mm-hmm. It was hard, very hard. Because I was still trying to like, man, how they gonna do it without me? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm big bro. We done been rolling it. So learning how to pull away from them and let them be, it developed more of a respect for me when they saw that God was still elevating me without being connected to them. Mm-hmm. And I'm still connected to them because I still call them to this day to do stuff because they always gonna be my family. Mm-hmm. So outside of that, the respect level went up for me from them because they said, brother can do this. This is the call on his life. He can do this without us. When at one point it was like, you need us to do this.
Was that difficult to go from you learning you could do it on your own versus depending on not just family, but people?
Yeah, well, it was twofold because I married into a singing family. So that was another thing of you need us too. So I was on two different levels of you need us, which is crazy. I was on
insert song. You're all I need.
You're all I need. All day. I had to do it. That's why I did the R&P album, Rhythm and Praise album. I just did it just me. And it was all my background vocals. Sean taught me how to run Pro Tools. And this is the part of the process that I think people don't want to do. Like, I record myself. I learned how Sean taught me how to run Pro Tools, went online, looked at some more videos, taught myself how to record myself so that I could create demos, which helped me as a writer to be able to one up everybody else that was waiting on to get in the studio with an engineer. I bought my first 2 mics. I spent money and invested in myself on a computer, on an interface and all of that. And I taught myself how to record. Now, my mixes back in the day were trash, you know what I mean? But I had it good enough to where I could submit songs. And so that made me a double threat when it comes to, how's Jason turning these songs over so quick? Well, I could record my own vocals. So I got so good at it to where I didn't even really need music. I would record to a click track. Of course, keep a pitch pipe close by so I could stay on pitch with getting all the notes right, even with the key changes. There's a lot of songs I recorded better with no music to a click track in my office on a Thursday morning. After Rev preached on a Wednesday night, I wrote the song Wednesday night, recorded it to a click track on Thursday morning with no music. Key changes and all.
Okay, so there's a whole lot of things I want to jump in. I don't know exactly where I want to go.
That's cool.
So those of you all who are interviewers and stuff, you probably wanted to like ask them this, ask them that. I'm feeling the same thing. First, you said something I want to jump in here, but just before I forget it, because you said you wrote better, not the fact that you invested in yourself. There's a whole nother area of not waiting on anybody else to invest in you, but you invested in yourself because you believed in yourself.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother area. But you said you wrote it after a Wednesday night Bible study where you heard his pastor he's talking about is Reverend Dr. Kevin Cosby.
Yeah.
St. Stephen, those of you need to know where to go.
Yeah.
You heard that, then you went in. I want to talk about this. All the people who write songs that have no substance. How you got something, got it downloaded into you, then you wrote it. It wasn't just something you were pulling out of the air.
No.
But it was something that was based on something you received that has substance, word-based or whatever.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Ooh. First of all, first part of that is personal relationship. So not just hearing a scripture and then writing a song about it. It's the fact of taking time on your own. The times that I drove home in my 72 Grand Torino to meet 3 prophets at a church to pray when nobody was around. At Church of Living God, Temple number 45, Mother Malley, Tawana Smith, Bernadette Howard, Herford, and Miss Crevon.
I remember when what's her name, Tawana?
Yeah.
I mean, she got me one time.
Let me tell you.
Never forget it.
Man.
I had just got there.
I know.
I said, who is this woman?
I know. And it's accurate like a mug. I mean, words that they spoke, and God rest her soul, and Mother Malley and all of them, they've gone on to be with the Lord. Miss Bernadette and Emma still here. But they taught us that relationship was more important than the gift. So that's going to that point of it. I don't want to miss what you said to me. But then studying on my own. So what they see, the overflow of the gift is because I spend time with God on my own. I've laid out in my house when nobody was around. I've cried in the car listening to a song where I could not move and had to pull myself together to start driving again. Or when I wrote Over and Over, I was in the middle of my floor with my lights cut off and my car being repoed. And I told the Lord that I just wanted to work a regular job. But he said that there's a calling on your life. Not knowing that 20 something years later, I'm trying not to cry, so I'm going to keep myself together. 20 years later, didn't knowing that song would still be the soundtrack to people's lives. Because at that moment, I was working at Canaan and a shoe store. But when I went to the shoe store, there was no fulfillment because that's not what I was supposed to be doing with my life. And so I had to, and I wasn't making enough money to survive where I was living. So I had to figure it out. And God was like, no, there's a calling on your life. This is bigger. And after he said that, it's still, the blessing didn't come. So that's a whole nother story. So I had to build this relationship with God over years, being promised things, going to conventions on a regular basis, artists that are major and at the prime time of their artistry, promising me things in front of crowds of people, and going back to school and waiting on a call and never getting it. Or thinking that this was the moment because I knew this person and never getting the help that I thought that I should get, because the plan that God had for me was different than the plan that I thought that I had for myself. And so if anybody asks me, Jay, how have you sustained yourself? It's the personal relationship. I never forget one day, maybe about 3 years ago, I was like, God, what is going on? Like, you keep giving me these spurts of things that are happening. You hit me here and you do this here. And then, oh my God, the elevation season of the Grammys and the Doves and all of that, I was made a assistant director at the church when I'm a lead director. I had to sit up under somebody else that was, I don't want to say not as gifted as me, but I knew what God had given me. And God was teaching me in that moment in church that I've been a part of, that I've sowed. And I've had one of the biggest choirs ever at the church, 250 young people on a Sunday morning, that God was teaching me in elevation to stay humble. So he made me I went through 4 different titles. They didn't even know what to name me. They called me artist in residence. That was the last title before God was like, okay, now you get it. So are we focused on the relational part of being in church? Or we focus on the relational part of taking what we learned from church
and want to
applying it to life. Okay.
Because a lot of people have checked out already because your journey and your process is taking too long. So there are people who have already left.
Yeah.
They've already left. They've gone. They've checked it out. Like this is the longest story I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But that is the part that it's the endurance.
Yeah.
It is the ability. And this last part before you jump into that, the ability to not just wait your turn, but to even serve someone who might be in the position you're called to, or you might be better than, but to have that humility to be able to say, I still serve.
Yeah.
That part there, it's
because you're still a servant. At the end of the day, the titles mean nothing. Everybody is a servant of the kingdom of God. Everybody. Now he elevates as he sees fit. Because also too, I watched people elevate past me while I was waiting my turn. I knew Anthony Brown when he traveled with Tone. I was with the Righteous Riders when I met Anthony Brown. Nobody knew who Anthony Brown was. Anthony Brown was traveling with Marette Brown Clark behind her. Group Therapy was singing. All them albums, Marette Brown Clark albums, that was Group Therapy. Anthony was writing those songs. when You're All I Need was big, went out to First Baptist Glen Arden and did a workshop. Stephen Hurd brought me out there. I was riding in Anthony's Mazda when he was playing me the Everyday Jesus album before it even came out. He had just got signed to Ty Scott. I was there. I've been in moments where people be like, "You what? You was there?" James Fortune opened up for the Righteous Riders when Beyonce was sitting on the front row back in 2001 when she had just started really kind of blowing up with Destiny's Child. James Fortune opened up for us. Nobody knew who James Fortune was nationally. They knew who he was in the city. You know what I mean? I was there. I was there when, go back to the Out the Box record, and when you see Tone doing the heel toe on the back of where they load their trucks at. We were standing there watching him doing that because we were in Germany with him. And I was there when Tone was going through and I was there. I was there when Hezekiah Walker was writing a letter to Monique because they was going through about who's going to get the kid. And now their relationship is tight again. I was there. I was behind stage at the McDonald's Gospel Fest in New York. I ain't never told nobody this. I was there on my way to Japan, my first trip overseas with Bishop the next day. And I was sitting there watching, listening, and learning. Not excited about just knowing the person, but in those moments where God had me in those places, I was paying attention. And Hez, when we got to Japan, said, you can do everything I'm doing times a million. And the other thing about it is you got your family. They all are tight. And so I was there in these moments and appreciating. At the time, I didn't understand the journey, but I was appreciating it, not knowing that I was appreciating it until I got to that next moment of when they made me from lead director to artist in residence, and I had to serve up under somebody else. And God spoke to me and said, all you are is a servant. And when I walked down that red carpet at the Grammys, and Kim Kardashian's mom looked at me and said, this dude with this cranberry suit on is fly. And she didn't know that I paid $100 for my suit at JCPenney's. It wasn't about the suit. It was about who God created and put in that suit, which made the suit worth more than what the suit cost.
So how do you talk to people, and to such gifted people, as we talked earlier? Yeah. Those of y'all who missed the podcast before this particular podcast, I do apologize once again.
We should have been recording.
We should have. It just because our relationship is such that you just pick up, you just talk. And we don't, those of you who watch it, we don't talk all the time. Yeah. But because the relationship has been there for so long, there's so many different areas that overlap. Yeah. But how do you talk to people that are so gifted, so talented, but one, don't maximize moments, don't understand moments, want everyone else to invest in them but themselves, and want to overlook the relationships of people and how you get there? Because a part of the people who say was about who you know. Yeah, it's about who you know, but it's also sometimes who you serve.
Right.
You know, how do you talk to people and get them to understand that people who don't want to wait in a generation that everything is accessible, right? Everything's right here.
Yes, popcorn, right, everything. Yeah. I think that those are the hardest conversations to have because they have so much. You got to remember, I mean, we not old guys, but we were there when they first did the flip phone. I mean, that's just when the internet really had started becoming popular. You couldn't send pictures on your phone yet. We were, we had beepers, where people would beep, to get, find out where you are. And then when you would go to a payphone, put the quarter in and call, I
know some of y'all don't know what any of these things are. YouTube them, Google them. They're beeper is something that we have on your side of your pocket, and, and a payphone is something you put a quarter in. Those things, I don't know what we're talking about. Answer machine, those types of things.
So, I think that those are the hardest conversations because everybody's society has made everything so popcorn. So, instead of the best food that was made, took time. You could put a microwavable peach cobbler in by Patty and it's great. But when your grandmother or your mother took time to cut the dough and to put the peaches, cut them up, and to let them sit overnight, and to let them caramelize so that they can put them in the crust, and then you put it in the oven, and you wait. You bake it to a certain time, and everybody couldn't run around, or cake. Everybody couldn't run around because you didn't want the cake to fall. It took time for that. And I think that this new generation wants to get past the time. They want to go straight to the sprint, to the finish line, instead of understanding that this is a marathon.
But is it because everything you just explained with the peach cobbler or cake rising and falling is because you saw it?
Yeah.
You saw the steps. Is it that we are not showing the steps anymore?
I think that's it. I think that we're not. It's like we're showing all of the blessings and the favor, but we're not showing the processes that everybody had to go through in the Bible to get to where they are.
Because when you brought about all those different people that you said, I was there here and I was there here and all this stuff, these are things that people wouldn't know, have not been shared or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's they were that before this. Like Everyday Jesus, that album was already there. It wasn't waiting to be there. It was already there.
Yeah.
But it's that is there the temptation to only post and show the finished product versus I'm still working on it?
Yep. Because you want everybody to see the success of it instead of the process. So process, success. You want them to see, oh, I did it. And when really people they don't say it, but they're really more intrigued by the process to get to it. So like I told you, I've been watching all of these podcasts. I watched one, it's crazy. I watch secular artist podcasts. I watched Lil Wayne's podcast, and he didn't know who a lot of these new rappers were. He thought 21 Savage was 21 dudes in a group, and he was being honest, and that artist got upset, but it's because he stayed in his bubble and he works hard. He's a hard worker. So he wasn't paying attention to everybody else's successes around him. Even all of the success that he's had, he still was working like he had no success. And I think that that's another thing, the work ethic behind it's your work ethic too, is how much are you sharpening your gift? How much are you work? You can tell the difference from somebody that's sharpening their gift and somebody that's skating. You said it, we talked about it a little bit before. Mario is very versed in his musical capabilities. And he can tell when somebody is skating through a song. Or even me, I don't play, but I can tell. I'm like, bro, what you missed 2 hits in that song. And where was the transition to get to the bridge? And they looking at me with the side eye like, this Negro really knows that there's another part to the song, which then it challenges the person too, because there's 2 different types of laziness. There's ones that are young that are lazy, and then there's ones that are older that have become complacent. So now they're coasting on the gift, which it never goes higher than where they used to be. And then there's ones that have the gift that are incredible in it, which will coast on that and never grow beyond where they are because everybody has praised the gift and they haven't spent no time on it.
What is your vision for sustainability?
Ooh, you got to stay in a learning posture. My pastor said, when you, I want to quote this right. He said, when you are, it was something about that, and I said it the other day, and it skipped my mind, but when you stop learning, then you plateau.
Stop growing.
Yeah, you stop growing. When you stay in a learning posture, you always are on the slope up. So people see him at 63 and wonder why he is so ahead of the curve. He's always been like that, if you know, if followed his ministry. And that's what has helped me too. Of course, being up under a covering, people, that's whole nother story, is you want all of the blessings, but you don't want to be covered.
Yeah, when I think of people, speaking of that, not just Dr. Cosby, but thinking of Bishop Jakes and many others who 64.
Yeah.
And are not looking on the onset, looking like they're slowing down at
Yeah.
all, becoming more relevant.
Yeah.
And look at Kirk,
Yeah.
who's getting older, which is hard for me to believe.
I know.
He's getting older, but he's talked about how he keeps younger people around him.
Yeah. Also, too, it's funny. I had a quick story. This is going to blow your mind, and I probably will get in trouble. Well, no, I'm not going to get in trouble because he said it. He said it to me right before I got signed. So every time I saw Kirk, he was just like, man, where do I know you from? I'm like, dude, the last 3 times that you've come to Louisville, I've opened up for you. You did your last concert at a church where you haven't done a church in forever in Louisville. At St. Stephen's, the weather was bad, and then you came and we had you at church. Your drummer, I've known him all my life. Like, half your singers around you that have been around you are like family to me. So he was like, oh, okay, cool. So when he saw me right before I got signed before the pandemic, which is a whole nother, we're going to have another podcast.
Part 2 and 3.
Yeah, 3. He said, man, congratulations. I'm proud of you. And he pulled me in the corner. I thought this was like MTV, like punked. But he said this to me, and this came out of Kirk Franklin's mouth. He said, so if you went to a zoo and there was a fish with breast, what would you want to go see first? So I'm literally looking at him like, this dude is trying to slit me up before I even get started. I've been waiting on this moment. What in the world? Like, why did he say this to me? He said, no, answer the question. And this was like a Negro talk, just me and him. He said, so if you went to a zoo and you knew that there was a fish with breasts, what would you want to go see first? I said, I'd probably want to go see the fish with breasts because I would want to know how they found that. And where he said, that's who we are. And I looked at him like, we're unique. And God has called us to be different. Now, that's the craziest analogy. And when I told him at the Stellars this year, he apologized. He said, I'm so sorry. Why did I say? And it was Booby and his wife standing there. He said, I'm so sorry. And she looked at him like, Kirk. He said, I'm so sorry that I said that to you. And I said, no, but you helped me because you helped me realize that I'm different and I'm on this own journey. God has me on my own journey. So everybody might laugh and everybody might look and point, but he's uniquely made me for who he's called me to be on purpose. And my journey is not the same as everybody else's. Yeah, and he said, well, I'm glad you got that out of that story.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just that moment. But he said that night, I'm 51, 52. He said, and I don't realize that I'm getting old. He said, maybe because, and Love Theory that night went gold. And that was the first album that he's had on his own that went gold as a songwriter and a artist, because, he was tied into this huge contract for years that he didn't own none of those songs that he put out. 100 songs. Didn't own none of. That's why Fight of My Life had that many songs on the record. Also, too, you got to study. For those that are listening to this, you got to know what you want to do and study those that are greats around you. You can't just want to be successful. You have to study these people and understand why they are successful like they are. And I had to realize that God kept putting me around successful people that have longevity because he wanted me to see. He put me around people that had longevity when I was a kid and I didn't know it. I went up to a house next to my great grandparents. Man, I'm all over the place. I got ADD right now. Because you're
a fish with breasts.
A fish with breasts. But at a young age, next to my great grandparents' house on Cooper Chopper Road, there was a guy knocking golf balls in the backyard of their farm. And I was cutting grass and kept hitting these golf balls. And I walked up to the dude's door and knocked on his door. A black dude came with a little fro. I said, hey, man, I'm cutting my grandparents' yard in the back, and I keep hitting these golf balls. Could you please stop hitting the golf ball? He said, oh, I'm sorry. You, the Westfield's grandson. It's nice to meet you. I said, yeah, man, it's nice to meet you, too. This was 13, 14, 15. It was Larnell Harris. I didn't know who he was. until I got older and was watching an infomercial, and I saw this white guy with the Gaithers in front of all of these people, and I said, that's the dude that, and God reminded me when I got older, you were always that close to greatness. But you had to realize it. You didn't realize it at the moment because you wasn't paying attention. And that was at the height of his career when Larnell Harris, he's a beast still to this day. But Larnell Harris and Ron Canoli and Alvin Slaughter, when you say these names to the typical gospel person, they were like, who are those people? And I've been blessed to be around two of the three of those people in my life.
And you're talking about people who crossed all types of genres of respect.
Yeah.
You know, so we got to wrap up. We have to do this again.
Definitely.
I just don't know where to stop. But I want to ask, how do you turn the music off? This is just more of a lighter question.
Yeah.
Because creativity is hard.
Yeah, it's hard to turn out. I've had, and I'm quoting my pastor again, because you have to divert daily. You have to get away weekly. And you have to go away annually. So how do I divert daily? I have an hour before I pick my son up that I play jazz. And I'm talking about jazz. I turn it real low and I sit in the car for 45 minutes and I take a nap with that music playing. Now, is it getting away from the music? Not really, but it is, because that's not what I listen to typically or what I do. Weekly, I try to find something to do that has nothing to do with music at all. Bowling, taking myself out to lunch, finding something, and then annually, really, Black people, we don't vacation enough. I used to wonder why white people always used to vacate so much, but we need to start doing that more, taking time for yourself, because that's what will keep you sane. And especially the markets that we deal in and the people that we have to deal with on a regular basis. You have to divert daily, take a week, during the week, get away, and once a week, and then annually go somewhere. And when I say annually, I'm not talking about one time a year. I'm talking about at least 3 times to 4 times a year. You need to figure out something and go somewhere. And if don't nobody go with you, go with yourself. It's okay to take a vacation by yourself. We always got to be around people.
No, you don't. I don't.
No, you don't. Take some time and take some time for yourself. I think that's important. And that's how you get away from it all.
Lastly, for everybody who's watching or listening, who, as I jokingly said earlier, the story was too long for people, and I wasn't talking about length, I'm just talking about how long process took. How would you encourage someone who's watching right now, who is gifted or who's serving someone or whatever, and speak to them directly about enjoying the process?
Yes.
You can enjoy the process, be in it, and still enjoy it without suffering through it.
Ooh, I would say really don't just coast on the gift. Allow that gift to be cultivated however God wants to cultivate that thing. And also to study. They say put something in a book and a Black person won't read it or learn it. So study, read, watch. You have so much accessibility to learn now. There's no excuse. If you make an excuse while you're in this mode of where we are in our technology, you're going to be behind. I would say really study and focus on cultivating what you want to do, and write the vision. Write it, even if you don't make everything that or get to everything that you want to do that year. At least you might check off one thing off that list. That vision don't stop. And then put yourself around like-minded people. There are people that have had to come back and apologize to me were friends of mine because they didn't realize why I stopped being friends with them for 10 plus years, because I didn't want to be in the same place that I was in 10 to 15 years later, hanging with them. So watch the people around you. And it's okay at times. I mean, God will send you people and friends in a moment, but it's okay to be alone at times so that you can really work on what you want to work on. And everybody's not going to see your vision. Everybody's not going to see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes it's a lonely road. Miss Tawana said that to me maybe about a year or so before she passed. She took me to Texas Roadhouse. She said, baby, you're not going to be able to be around a lot of people. And I didn't realize what that was back in 2003. I didn't realize what she was saying. But everybody didn't. Not necessarily you're not going to be around a lot of people, but everybody's not going to be able to be where you are because they're not going to get what God is doing in your life. And so I would say that to those that want to do this, that don't just focus on the gift, but make sure that you really cultivate it and allow the relationship with God, the relationship with people around you, and really pay attention to all of that so that you can enjoy the process. Because it took me years before I could enjoy it. I had to go back and be like, Dad, God, thank you for that. I forgot to say thank you for that moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Tell everybody where they can follow you, where they can get your music. I think it's everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, listen, everywhere you want to get it, you type in Jason Clayborn on all media platforms. My newest albums that have come out are God Made It Beautiful. And the songs and things that Mario talked about, you can still get them on all the platforms. Music Wordology has over and over on it. I'm going to redo it on this next record. So definitely. And then I have a CCM album out, gospel CCM record out right now called Highest Praise. I just found out while we were sitting here that it got nominated for Worship Album of the Year, which is incredible. And going back to early beginnings, I didn't realize that Ron Canoli was preparing me for that when he told me what that person told you. You don't need all them runs. Just sing it plain. It's the anointing on your life. So years later, that's been a big part of this. So all media sites, Jason Clayborn 44 on Instagram, Jason Clayborn 44 on Jason Clayborn on Twitter, Jason Clayborn second page on Facebook. You can follow me on all the sites, and I will talk to you and conversate with you.
Well, y'all go ahead and follow him. Thank you all thank you.
No problem, bro. Anytime you're family. So
I didn't get to anything I was going to ask you.
Nah, well, sorry, we can do it again.
So,
right. That's when you flow with family. That's what happens. I told y'all we had a whole podcast before we started.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Bye. See y'all later.
See you.